Welcome into the SportsBuffoons podcast. Welcome into the SportsBuffoons podcast. Here we're doing a little reaction here from the Chiefs-Titans game. They just wrapped up here a few minutes ago. And this was a rough one. Titans ended up getting the victory. 27-3 was the final score. So if you had the under, you got yourself some big bucks. Who would have expected the Chiefs to only put up 3 points against the 24th ranked defense in the league? That's absolutely nuts, guys. But if you guys are out there right now, I'm sure you're sifting around through Twitter and letting your feelings and thoughts put out there. I don't blame you. This is a very frustrating time to be a Chiefs fan, and so we're gonna hit on a few things right now. But guys, first and foremost, what is the biggest thing, Tanner, to you that stands out about this team at the moment? I was on Twitter and I saw Eric Warfield had a tweet basically talking about the current state of the Chiefs and what he's seeing out of them. And Eric Warfield, of all people, who, if you guys have been following the Chiefs for a while, back in 02, 03, 04, that time period, that guy was definitely well known for giving up pass plays.
Oh yeah, definitely. What in the world? I see. ESPN favorite.
Damn ESPN, always doing that to us.
So for me today is, you talked about the Tennessee Titans defense being the 24th ranked team, right? Well, god damn it. They have a great game against Buffalo Bills, and they come out here against KC being consistent again. This could be a turnaround for the Tennessee Titans alone, being 5-2 now. But why? Well,
some people talked about, there's the energy, the lack of energy on the team. The defense lacks energy. Mm-hmm. You see Nick Bolton flying around. The guy ended up finishing up with, I think, 16 tackles on the game and 3 at least for a loss. So that guy, guys, if you walked up to me and you said, Derrick Henry's going to hit the ball 29 times, but we're going to hold him to 63 yards on the game, I'm going to go, okay, the Chiefs dominated then. I'm going to say the Chiefs dominated this game, and they probably won 30-13. That would be my guess.
It was 15 tackles. And 9 solo.
15. So I thought I saw 6. Actually, I saw that other one. I think they need to update that. I think they're a little behind on their stats right there, Tanner. But here we go. 4 tackles for loss for Nick Bolton on the game.
15, 9, and 4.
That's great. Absolutely great. But the guy brings the energy. But here's the thing. Where is the rest of this? Where is the rest of this energy? And what is going on with this team? Because every week we have these guys come out and talk, and they're acting like they're going to come be dogs and all this kind of stuff. And
they're not.
It's falling flat right now.
They're not.
And I don't make this totally a defensive problem, because that is a big part of the problem. Because the first 5 drives of the evening, the Titans scored points, right?
Correct.
Chiefs are also turned the ball over in the end of this game 3 times total due to Hardman's fumble at the end of the game there. But guys, Patrick Mahomes probably had his worst game of his career as a Chief, and I feel like I've said that now a few times in the last roughly 10 games he's played, and I think he's pressing quite a bit. I think there's a lot mentally that's going on with him at the moment. I think he's busy. He's got a lot on his plate with life as well as football, and a lot of pressure too. And when your tackles like Orlando Brown and Mike Remmers are just getting whooped off the edge, it makes your life even harder. And the running game is not working right. Yeah. And then the play calling too. Tanner, are you trying to do a disco dance, or what's going on here?
No, it's just a good old ESPN site. Every time you pause an ad, they play another one.
I'm gonna say this though. I think this game falls on the hands of the coaching more than anything, because obviously we all know we're not stupid. We know the Chiefs have playmakers across the board. Chiefs have Tyreek. Chiefs have Kelsey. Darrell Williams is a serviceable running back. Patrick Mahomes is one of the best quarterbacks, and he is the best quarterback the Chiefs have ever had in the history of the franchise. Offensively, this was straight up coaching to me.
It was bad.
And it's not adjusting to what you're being handed. So the Titans handed your ass to you. How about you adjust and maybe come up with some different play calling and schematic ideas, rather than just continuing to try to pass the ball deep when you know he's going to get pressured right away because the tackles are not doing their job. And when they do, they got called back for holding, like we saw Trey Smith.
There were multiple plays where we got the first down, or made a big play. Like you said, it was always some kind of flag. It was illegal hands to the face, holding call, whatever it may have been. And it was the dumbest thing to ever. That's how you hurt your team, and we've seen it across the NFL that way. But now we're experiencing it as more Chiefs fans. You have Pringle leading the way, for God's sakes, in receptions today. Or not receptions, but in yards. So, like, I don't know, man. It's not a good look right now offensively, and it does not help us defensively at all. We know that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Titans had 10 more minutes possession this game than we had today. So that does not help either, because you don't want your defensive out after 2 minutes of being on offense and 4 and out or a turnover or whatever it may be. It kills you. It kills you. My biggest thing right now is, why isn't that guy that has a stat line of 0.0001 getting more targets, getting more receptions? Josh Gordon. Why is he not involved?
Well, he did have a target today. Of course, he got intercepted. One target, and that was on a play where Mahomes was rolling out and then kind of trying to force a pass. He got tipped up and intercepted in the end.
Which is killing us.
But he does need to get more playing time. I mean, you brought him into this team for a reason, right? You didn't bring him in to be a special teamer. He's not replacing Marcus Kemp. You brought him in to be a part of the offense. And you started the game with him on offense quite a bit, actually. But then throughout the game, you reduce his role.
Mm-hmm.
How is that going to get him more integrated into understanding this game and understanding what's expected of him in the offense? That is just, it's almost like the team is confused with their own decisions. It's almost like they're second guessing themselves.
Does it almost feel like a Le'Veon Bell situation?
Similar.
It's pretty similar, right?
But
now.
Le'Veon Bell actually isn't very good.
No.
And I think Josh Gordon still has something left in the tank.
I think he does too. But it just feels like hey, we signed this cool vet, But
they're talking about, people are out there talking.
Nothing's happening.
Tyrann Mathieu, as you know, likes to speak a lot, so he's talking about comparing him to Megatron and stuff like that. And the chemistry between Pat and him was, phenomenal throughout the first week of them being together. It's like, if that's the case, then what are we doing? What are we doing with Demarcus Robinson out here, fooling around with him? Pringle had a good game. Pringle should have already been the WR2 all along, guys. I've said this for literally months and maybe the last 2 years, actually. But it's like, come on, this is getting frustrating. Let's see what we can do. Get Josh Gordon actually involved. More than anything, though, my point to bring that even up or to talk about that, Tanner, is that the Chiefs need to adjust to what they were given, because the Chiefs continued to try to throw the ball intermediate and deep down the field when Patrick Mahomes did not have time for that kind of play calling.
Not at all.
This needed to be a quick strike offense today, because the pressure was on his ass right away, almost every play. And so where's the slants? Where's the quick hitches? Where's those kind of things right there? Like, we're not seeing enough of that. And Chiefs they used to run slant passes, Tanner.
Correct.
Back in the day, slants used to be a thing.
But remember, we had Cam Irving then. Now we got Cam Irving 2.0 at left tackle.
Orlando Brown.
It's not looking good. And then at right tackle, we had the Remmers Niang experiment going on. So who knows what the consistency will happen next week, if Remmers gets benched or not. Probably not. But the offensive line was bad. I think Trey Smith had his worst game of the season this game.
Yeah.
But that's going to happen as a rookie. We get that. He played a lot of great players the last few weeks. And, I mean, not saying the Titans' defensive line isn't any pushovers, but it's not the Cleveland Browns, essentially. So, I don't know. It was a rough go for the line today. It really was, especially for Trey Smith and Orlando Brown. They got beat, and it was just, to me, Orlando Brown's issue is footwork. He's not moving his feet. He's misreading where they're going. He's getting beat in the potential part of the game that he shouldn't get beat in. Plain and simple.
Yeah, so Tanner, I had a question out there for the Twitter fans of following us on SportsBuffoons, but basically, how do you fix the Chiefs right now? What is the number one goal to get this team back on track? Because I want you guys to understand out there that 3-4, that is the worst we've been in a while, and since 2015, as a matter of fact. But let's also look at this and understand that this is still a long season to go, and we've lost now 4 games to the 4 best teams in the AFC.
Yep.
And so when I say best, I mean, right now you got to put them all. You got to put the Bills, the Ravens, the Chargers, and now the Titans all above the Chiefs in the AFC. And so all 4 of those teams are now solidified themselves to being better teams than what the Chiefs have to offer. And so those are our 4 losses on the season. Now the Chiefs coming up, we have the we have the Giants,
Giants.
And then we have the Packers after that. But in those, the Giants game shouldn't be an issue. And if it is, there's bigger problems ahead.
I they're going to come out ahead. They just beat a decent Carolina team here. So
these teams have spent now the last year or two trying to figure out the best ways to stop the Chiefs, because they know the Chiefs are the head of the AFC. They have been for the last 3 years. And so, they got the target on their back. So guess what coaches are doing in the offseason? They're focused on, hey, we've got the Chiefs on our schedule. How are we going to stop them? Everyone wants to know how to stop the Chiefs. Well, now they've done it. They've done their job. And a lot of it is rushing 4 and dropping guys back into coverage. And Patrick Mahomes, the thing is, he's doing as much as he can, but the offensive line is still struggling, and on the edges there especially. And he's having to bail out in situations where he shouldn't be having to bail out because the guys aren't doing their job.
Man, it doesn't matter if you drop or if you rush 3 or 4 against the Chiefs, who seem to struggle anyways for Mahomes. So, we can't get anybody open. Kelsey's the only one that seems to get open half the time with his 13 or 12 targets today. Yeah. It's bad. It's just, I think it's a bad scheming right now. I think Bieniemy and Spags and Reed, they'll get to sit there and figure it out. I'm not going to say fire anybody yet, right? I've taken the last 2 years into accountability here. I'm not going to go out there and just say, oh, let's start firing coaches. We're not the Detroit Lions, okay? We are the Kansas City Chiefs. We're 3-4 right now, but we also have our 4 losses to some pretty damn good teams. So I'm not going to say go out there and can anybody yet, but we got to figure something else out. We got to figure a different scheme out. I think the defense is slowly starting to get it together. They did have some stops today. The offense had zero help to the defense today. Obviously, as we saw today, with no touchdowns, not a lot of time of possession, it's not good. But I'd say, hey, let's we got to take a step back here. Unfortunately, our bye isn't for a few more weeks, so we got to figure this out quick and turn around because we got some good teams coming up, including the Cowboys, the Raiders, and the Packers.
Yeah, I think number one starts getting back to the basics of this, the whole structure of this whole team, and defensively. I want Spags to come back to be the old Spags. We used to know calling up plays. They were more aggressive. We saw that at the end of the second half where he was dialing up plays to become more aggressive, ended up holding the Titans to a field goal. Mm-hmm. But offensively, I want it to be back to the basics again of, guess what, guys? A little more of what we saw, believe it or not, with Alex Smith back in the day, short passing game, getting that simple passes out there, letting your playmakers do the work after.
Just getting some momentum going. That's really what it is. Just getting some momentum going. Give your guys a breather to be able to pass it to those deep routes out to Tyreek.
Right, because if you're trying to throw intermediate to deep every play, that's no wonder they're going to play too high safety all game long. Force them to come back down a little more, and then you're going to make them do that by hitting more of those underneath kind of routes, shallow cross, slants. You mean the things that the Titans were doing to the Chiefs today? What? Exactly. Oh my gosh, that's football 101 basics. Can you believe there's a flat concept out there? And also, running backs can run wheel routes, and running backs can run flat routes as well and get open and make plays in the open field.
And also, use your big receivers, right? Use your Josh Gordon, for God's sakes, your Byron Pringle, and deep routes like they used A.J. Brown today. A.J. Brown with phenomenal adjustments to be able to catch this ball. Now, we do have Far Center here, just left a comment here. He says the Titans stretch has been underrated this season by so far. Titans fan here. Chiefs will still be a contender in the playoffs. I agree with you. We kind of opened this up about the defense for you guys being 24th overall coming in, but there's been an adjustment with that defense because you guys after you lost to the Jets, something else kind of clicked and some adjustments were made.
Hey, like I said about the Jets loss the Titans had though, they were without A.J. Brown and Julio Jones in that game too.
Correct.
And honestly, if those two were around, I think the Titans would have won.
But that defense was bad. It was bad for the first 3 weeks.
The defense is getting figured out. They figured things out. But I think that the Titans are a very good, well-established team. Like, guys, remember in the offseason when they got Julio Jones? Remember that whole situation?
Yep.
We all knew at that point, okay, the Titans are going to be legit. Are they going to be better than the Bills? Like, we were all kind of up in there. We weren't really sure. They'd be better than the Bills. We knew that they'd give us a tough fight for the Chiefs here. But the Chiefs are also beating themselves. And that's the whole story of the whole thing here is that the Chiefs are beating themselves, and this has to do with a lot of things from the top to bottom. Mm-hmm. Top to bottom issues all across the board. Our fan here is a Titans fan. I mean, you've seen it now throughout the season. A lot of the talk that's gone on about Chiefs players and the coaching, and now falling to 3-4 in the season. But at the same time, this is not the same team we've seen in the past years that would have gone out and played much better against the Titans, at least given a fight against the Titans. Yeah. And that's not happening anymore. No, against anybody for that matter. I mean, this is an unlively team. These guys are kind of dead in the water.
It's not the same energy we saw the last few years. Like the Titans defense today, you pointed it out earlier, where they just flew around. They were flying to the ball. They were trying to hit hard, legally, right? But they were trying to hit hard. They were trying to get to the ball as quick as they could. And you just don't see that on the defense. You can see Tyron, Juan Thornhill at times, Fenton, who's been decent, but outside of that, Nick Bolton?
Right. Bolton's been good all year, guys.
Rookie
linebacker Nick Bolton's been good all year. I agree with what our fan here said as well. The Titans should not have been 5.5-point underdogs.
No.
I saw that earlier this week, and I thought that was ridiculous. I mean, come on. I actually had the Titans favored. If you follow along with our channel here, I picked the Titans to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did I think it was going to go 27-3? Absolutely not. I definitely thought it was going to be more along the lines of like a 35-29 or 35-30 Titans victory, somewhere around there. But the Chiefs didn't even show up today.
No.
And that was the.
It's a matter. I mean, like you said, it's a matter too of a turning point for this team. Like I talked about it on the show last Wednesday. Like, hey, was that interception at halftime last week where that awful interception happened? Was that a turning point? Could have been a turning point because we played excellent in the second half. That didn't happen this week. We didn't start out great. We didn't end great. Like you said here, hopes Mahomes okay. I think Mahomes is all right because he looked fine coming out of the tent, luckily. But yeah, that was.
And that's also Mahomes trying to do too much. The guy Mahomes needs to get down at that point in the game, especially. As he does take hits now because he's trying to press so much to make something happen at all times. It's like, dude, at that time of the game, because he's a guy that never gives up. He never wants to give up. He wants to try 100% every play to the whistle, whatever. But there's also a time where it's like, let's be smart because you are important to our organization. We cannot afford you to get severely injured, which we're going on the rate right now with the way he's pressing. That he's had a couple big hits this year that he didn't need to take in the past. So that's something I don't want to see happen either. Because if we have to finish the season with Chad Henne starting, I don't want to endure that. I mean, we'll survive. We'll all live, but with that defense and Chad Henne together, it's not going to be pretty. So I'd rather not deal with it, you know.
So I mean, what's your takeaway here? Like, what are we looking at going into the Giants game? Are we gonna maybe give it a few days and see what happens, or are we hoping to see a bunch of adjustments?
Back to the drawing board. Coaching staff needs to be at fault for this loss today. You did not have 3 points with this talent on offense. I don't care who you're playing against, especially the 24th ranked defense in the league. You score 3 points. I don't care who you are. Like, you need to do a better job coaching wise of putting together a better structured strategy to go put up points on the board when you know your defense sucks. Like, you know you're going to be going down there, and you also know they're going to play 2 safety high. So if you know they're going to play 2 safety high, you know what to expect. Then play more of the short passing game. Quit trying to throw it deep every play. Quit calling these plays.
Right, so they got a lot of times the teams have the linebackers backing off, right, in the coverage, and then you send one extra guy out there. So you got maybe a 5-man rush. And that seems to just blow our offensive line up completely. Right. Leonard Brown doesn't know what to do. Trey Smith gets sometimes blown up. And then you got Niang/Remmers over here that get destroyed by their own guy. Like, it's crazy that we're talking about a 4 or 5-man rush disrupting this offense. That's what we're talking about.
Well, that's how you beat the Chiefs. Yeah. And it was shown in the Super Bowl with the Buccaneers, is if you can get pressure with 4 guys, that's how you stop Mahomes. Mm-hmm. And now, in the end, the offense. And keep in mind, I want to say this real quick, that's how it was in college too. Because teams that blitzed Mahomes in college would actually have a harder time than teams like Kansas State, when they beat Texas Tech, had Mahomes probably his worst game of his college career, numbers-wise, against Kansas State. And Kansas State doesn't blitz very often at all. They only rush 4. And that was a rough game for Mahomes, and they got destroyed in that game. Kansas State destroyed them. And in the NFL, I mean, I'm surprised it took them this long to figure it out. But Chiefs have a weak O-line, and they have for a little while now. If you blitz, Mahomes will find the hole in your defense. If you don't, you'll probably get pressure anyway. So don't blitz.
Great. Yeah, and I mean that's where it's going to be. Is can this O-line step up? Thuney's been great. Creed's been great. Trey Smith, set for today, has been fairly great. And then it's just the ends, guys. It's Orlando Brown, Niang/Remmers. You got to figure it out.
Well, I have a question for you then before we log off here for the moment. Sitting at 3-4 right now. Let's assume we get the rest of the season to worry about. I'm assuming the Chiefs win next week against the Giants and go 4-4. Is this still a playoff team to you?
I think it is. I think it's gonna be a wild card. It'll be probably the lower wild card of the two. But I'd say the Chiefs still make the playoffs as of now because of their second half schedule. Because it is a little weaker going into play. After Green Bay, Dallas, it's kind of a weaker section.
Then again, the Chiefs got to play the Raiders twice, and who knows with that.
And we got another Chargers. So.
And Chargers, of course, towards the end of the year. Broncos are not a guarantee anymore, even though how many games in a row did the Chiefs win against the Broncos? It's been a lot.
It's since 2016
was the last time the Broncos beat the Chiefs. But this year, I say there's a chance.
Hey, that defense isn't looking too bad there for Broncos, so they have a chance. They got a couple playmakers, And get Judy back in time.
If the Chiefs go 9-8, yeah, it's a sad story right there.
Yeah,
they had a lot to work on. So
hey guys, tune in on Wednesday here as we go more in depth with the Chiefs as well. We'll kind of talk about the Giants game coming up as well, and hopefully any adjustments that may have happened throughout the week. Hopefully we find out. So, but tune in and also view us on TikTok.
Yeah, thanks for following along, and thanks for any of your comments and questions there as well. So I will see y'all on the next one.
See you guys.